A long time ago, in the ancient city of Baghdad, there lived a young man named Sindbad. Sindbad was kind and brave, but most of all, he was curious about the world. He loved listening to stories about faraway lands, mysterious islands, and the deep sea. Every evening, he would sit with sailors and merchants, asking them about their journeys. The more he listened, the more he wanted to travel. One day, Sindbad decided, "I cannot stay in Baghdad forever. The world is big, and I must see it with my own eyes." So, Sindbad packed his belongings and went to the port. He found a group of sailors with a big wooden ship. They were preparing to leave on a long journey. Sindbad said, "Take me with you. I will work hard, and I want to see the world." The sailors agreed, and Sindbad's adventure began. The ship sailed for many days across the blue ocean. The water was calm, and the wind was gentle. One morning, the sailors saw what looked like a small island in the sea. "Let's stop there and rest," said the captain. The sailors dropped the anchor, and everyone went onto the land. They built a fire to cook food. Sindbad was happy to walk on land again. He said, "This is such a peaceful island." But suddenly, the ground started to move. The sailors shouted, "Run! This is not an island. It's a giant whale." The whale had been sleeping, and the fire woke it up. Sindbad ran as fast as he could back to the ship. The whale dove into the water, creating huge waves. The sailors held onto the ship tightly, and they sailed away. Sindbad laughed and said, "What a strange start to my adventures." After some time, Sindbad returned to Baghdad, but his heart still wanted adventure. So, he joined another group of sailors and set sail again. One day, the ship stopped at a beautiful island. Sindbad decided to explore. As he walked through the forest, he saw something amazing. It was a giant egg, bigger than a house. Suddenly, the sky darkened. Sindbad looked up and saw a giant bird flying toward the egg. It was the roc, a legendary bird. Sindbad hid behind a tree and watched as the bird landed. When the roc flew away, Sindbad had an idea. He thought, "If I tie myself to the bird, it can take me to a new land." He used his turban to tie himself to the roc's leg. The bird flew high into the sky, carrying Sindbad with it. The roc finally landed in a valley. Sindbad untied himself and looked around. The valley was full of diamonds, shining brightly in the sunlight. But there was danger too. Big poisonous snakes were crawling all around. Sindbad stayed hidden until he saw merchants throwing meat into the valley. The diamonds stuck to the meat, and large birds carried the meat back to their nests. The merchants would then collect the diamonds from the nests. Sindbad used the same trick. He grabbed a piece of meat, held on tightly, and let a bird carry him out of the valley. When the merchants saw him, they were amazed. They gave him food and water and took him back to the ship. Sindbad said, "This journey taught me that clever ideas can save your life." Sindbad continued his adventures. On his third journey, he traveled to a land full of forests and wild animals. The people of this land had a problem. Elephants were destroying their villages and farms. The king of the land asked Sindbad for help. He said, "You are a traveler. Maybe you have seen elephants before. Can you help us?" Sindbad built a tall tower in the middle of the forest. From the tower, he watched the elephants every day. He saw how they moved, where they went, and what they ate. Sindbad told the king, "We should not fight the elephants. They are strong and smart. Instead, we should make peace with them." The king followed Sindbad's advice. The people learned to live peacefully with the elephants, and the elephants stopped attacking the villages. The king was so happy that he gave Sindbad many gifts, including gold, jewels, and fine clothes. Sindbad said, "Kindness is more powerful than strength." Sindbad's fourth journey was the most dangerous of all. His ship sailed into a terrible storm. The sky was dark, and the wind was strong. Huge waves crashed against the ship. The sailors tried to control the ship, but it was no use. The ship broke into pieces, and Sindbad was thrown into the sea. Sindbad held onto a piece of wood and floated in the water. He saw something huge under the waves. It was a sea monster with big, sharp teeth. Sindbad prayed, "Please, help me survive this." Just then, a friendly dolphin swam near him. Sindbad grabbed the dolphin's fin, and it pulled him through the water. The dolphin took Sindbad to a small island. Sindbad sat on the beach, tired but safe. He said, "Thank you, my friend. You saved my life." On another journey, Sindbad visited a city unlike any he had ever seen. The buildings were made of gold, and the streets were lined with jewels. The people of the city welcomed Sindbad and showed him their treasures. Sindbad noticed that the people were very wise. They lived simple lives, even though they were rich. Sindbad asked, "Why don't you use your gold and jewels for yourselves?" An old man replied, "True happiness does not come from gold. It comes from kindness, wisdom, and helping others." Sindbad learned an important lesson that day. After many years of adventures, Sindbad decided it was time to return to Baghdad. He had seen many wonders and faced many dangers. He had met kings, merchants, and strange creatures. When Sindbad arrived home, his family and friends were happy to see him. They gathered around and said, "Tell us about your adventures." Sindbad told them about the Whale Island, the giant bird, the Valley of Diamonds, the elephants, and the sea monster. He shared stories of the kind people he had met and the lessons he had learned. Sindbad said, "The world is full of wonders, but the greatest treasure is the wisdom you gain from your journeys. Courage, kindness, and cleverness will take you far in life. Sindbad lived the rest of his life in peace, sharing his stories with anyone who would listen. He became a legend in Baghdad, known as Sindbad the Sailor, the man who had seen the wonders of the world.